Milton Guerry, you are the president of SCHUNK USA, and you're on the A3 board of directors. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It's a pleasure to be here, Jana.
We are really excited as the A3 to be celebrating 50 years as an association. And as we've looked back on the last 50 years, there are so many moments in this automation industry, in robotics, in all of our sectors that have happened. I mean, this industry is moving so fast. You have also been around the industry for a minute. What has happened in your own career that's excited you about the robotics history?
Jan, I think that's a great question, and thanks for not calling me old. I'm going to dive right into that one. But this industry, I think before we talk about my own career or technology, this industry, when I entered in a little more than 20 years ago, it was so vibrant and there was so much energy in it and so many people willing to give and be part of like the Association for Advancing Automation, the RA at the time. That I think has made it special, and it feels almost exactly the same today, 50 years later, that it's just as vibrant with the same energy in the room, except for the room's much larger. So for me, there's been so many pivotal points. I started my career engineering, coming out of the automotive industry, and coming to something that was, in a way, much more intimate as an industry, but serving back to the industries that I knew very well was kind of refreshing in a lot of ways. And just watching the technology advance, go from something that was only hitting high production facilities, seeing technology come in with gripping like what we represent. The grippers were very, very, let's say discrete or are not very smart devices to where they progress today. And now they are matching kind of that smarts and that intelligence that's going with the other systems, whether it's the robot controller and or the robot motion itself. So it's been a fun ride.
And you're talking about these emerging technologies. You mentioned in your answer there how AI is impacting the robotics industry. Can you dive into that a little bit more? It's such a buzzword. How is AI making robots better and faster and easier to use?
Well, it's a really good question, and I'm looking forward to the session this afternoon. I know you probably can't exactly use that one. I'm looking forward to that session to actually hear some of the things myself, but AI is impacting us in so many ways. Like today, how many things do you not use ChatGPT for? It's almost everything, right? So obviously it's going to find low-hanging fruit, AI, or let's say machine learning. We drill in a little bit more. It's going to find things where it adds value immediately, much like generating text. And I think that's going to be in vision. And then it's going to move through to where generative AI is actually going to be writing the programs for us. But we say writing the programs, let's maybe say something a little bit more, because that's a little scary, especially for a robot programmer. He's going to say, oh, I don't want AI to write the program for me, but it's not going to change his job, because the critical thinking to make a robot system operate both, accurately, but repeatably, and how the material inflow happens in all those different cases that come up, which make robot cells hard. I mean, we may as well go ahead and say it. Doing robotics is not an easy thing. So that critical thinking won't be replaced, but the process of just generating that code and actually doing that hard work, that I do believe will be automated by, we'll say AI or machine learning.
To be more correct is always better. Just asking, why is it hard? Is it because of the cost to implement a robotic system? Is that why it's hard?
So personally, I don't think it's because of the cost. I just think that we as humans are so flexible. And we're always worried about being replaced, whatever that may be. We won't be, because we're flexible. We have all these input systems. If you think of the human body in a way, if we think of robot cells and think of the sensors that we have and the feedback mechanisms and the computing mechanisms we have, to make something do what we do naturally is just not an easy thing. And we know all these cases where these hard things, these complex things are seemingly easy. But the reality is it's hard, because that complex thinking that we do as humans, as second nature, is really not an easy thing.
Right.
And it won't be replaced.
No, absolutely not. It's a tool that we the humans will use.
And it will allow us to develop further and do more, because we also know that robotics is in its infancy. It's going to be something. Jeff said today, we are in the beginning. We're in the beginning. It can be so much bigger than what it is today.
Right, so much opportunity, so many industries that haven't even begun automating yet.
We heard today with, poultry industry, we talked about healthcare, and all those things, we look back, there's a lot going on in that now, but when we think about the opportunity, it can be exponentially bigger than it is today.
It's really exciting. You are a huge advocate in the robotics industry. You've served on so many different boards, presidents of boards here at A3 for so many years. Why is it so important to you personally to give back to this industry?
So thank you for that recognition, but it's actually an honor to have been able to serve on these boards. It is something that is different, and it's something that rising tide rises all boats. So we know that when we give back, and just anything we can do to make automation accepted in a bigger way will make the companies that we all serve more successful, and therefore we should become more successful. So as an industry, we have to give back. I encourage anyone who's not engaged with the A3 today to get engaged, because the input that you can do and what you it will be valuable to the members, and it would be valuable to the customers that we all serve.
Yeah, absolutely. What is the board really focused on in the next year?
It's a great question, and I'm hoping that you guys are starting to feel it, because I think it is, where is automation going and how can we help our members and manufacturers become more successful? So the strategy is focused clearly around how can we make the customers and or members or companies that we all serve more successful. So we are building strategic frameworks in order to take that message to them.
That's awesome. And you lead a national team here, SCHUNK US. What principles have really guided you throughout your leadership journey? What makes a great leader?
I don't know. You'd have to, I think anybody who says I'm a great leader and I know what makes a great leader, I have no idea. But I can say a great team. So if I had any one thing to point to where I've been fortunate, I'm not going to say lucky or that I did it actually, is that I've somehow been fortunate to be, to have a great team, and to, for whatever reason, our company, our brand, to attract people who are truly professionals. So if there's in any way my leadership can be pointed to, it really needs to be pointed to what the team has achieved. And they are great every single day. We have such a young team, starting from many of our engineers all the way through our sales, and we have that mixed in with experience and people who've been in the industry as long as I have. So I don't know that there's any way to say great leadership. I can only say that you've been fortunate to build a great team.
So let's talk a little bit about education. We at the A3, I know, have been putting in a lot more effort into education. I love working with Rich Ramey on our team and figuring out ways that we can work with the different universities and school systems to enhance that. Can you tell me more about education from A3's perspective, and then we'll talk about SCHUNK?
Yes, I think what the A3 is doing with education right now is amazing. We need the education system to have common threads that run all the way through it and serve the member companies and or our technologies. And that way we're building a workforce that is ready to serve the manufacturers at which we serve. So the A3 is doing that, creating common threads through things that maybe need this kind of joining and pulling together.
Right. And then we saw, last year at Automate, education being a key focus. We had a whole day focused to bringing kids in, bringing educators in, all the universities we have there. We're looking forward to doing that again, bigger and better this year. But one of the really cool things was to see all of our companies, our member companies, that are so passionate about this topic too, including you at SCHUNK. So you can tell us a little bit more about what you guys are doing to enhance the education in automation.
Yeah, so we see education on a couple of different levels. So if we start at the engineering level, we try to create a very good co-op environment. With that, we keep on staff, about 5% of our engineering staff are co-ops all the time. And we've actually experienced the fact that when they finish their co-op program, we're so close to the university, again, it's a very fortunate thing, many of them want to work part-time for us. And so with that, when we talk about the level of engineering, that's where we've been successful, is partnering with our local universities. And again, we're fortunate because there's local universities in our area, but we also see building our technical and engineering technology level. So for that, we created a 4-year apprenticeship. And our target is to have 5 students in each year, and that is a youth apprenticeship. That apprenticeship starts right out of high school. And so the graduates of that program have a 2-year engineering degree, and they have a journeyman certificate in technology, and they also have a guaranteed job. So today we have about 16 people in that program, and we're 8 years in, and they're really starting to make an impact in our business. They're ending up in every different department nearly, and they're making a true impact to our business. But the education subject has to go further for both the A3 and SCHUNK, and we've been trying, and for us, it's a hard thing to scale, but we have to be attractive as well. And I think that's an area that is really difficult because we have to get into the high school and maybe even the middle school. So we've been doing pretty steady tours to come learn about the company, learn about the opportunities and what it means if you end up in a 4-year college or if you're looking for an apprenticeship, that you should be thinking about SCHUNK or some of our other apprenticeship member companies.
It is such a long game too, right? I mean, you just said you've been doing this for 8 years and now you're really seeing this pay off and you're thinking, we need workforce now. We have to go all the way back to middle school. It's kind of hard to plan things that require such foresight.
Yeah, but when we look at the A3 members, I guess more than 50% have been members for more than 20 years. So these are long games, and we can't see workforce development as a short-term play. It's
We're not going to fix it like that.
Yeah, for sure we have to go and recruit people that we need today.
Right.
But we have to invest, and we have to be willing to invest. And if it's 4 years, and don't think either that apprentices and students in a 4-year program, it's not 4 years before they start contributing to the company. It generally is pretty quick. You know, they do their schoolwork 1 day a week, they're in the company 4 days a week, they have a curriculum that's really set in the first 2 years, but the second 2 years, they're contributing.
That's so cool.
And they're becoming part of the team, and it's a very rewarding thing to watch and be part of, but it is a long-term play that I think is going to serve us. But going back to what the original statement was there, we really have to be attractive too, because some of those years, we work with 14 area companies doing this apprenticeship program, and some of those years, not all the places fill up.
Yeah, and why is that? The opportunity is not known, maybe.
And I think sometimes manufacturing, robotics, is not viewed as a high-tech job.
Interesting.
But first and foremost, one of the things of course, I'm not always the right one to tell them, but one of the things we try to tell them right off the bat is this is a high-tech job. It is no different. Programming a machine, a robot, critical thinking around that, how you structure that is no different than programming an app. It is high-tech work.
And I'm in the Bay Area, and I feel like I'm just seeing more and more companies, entering this industry, becoming A3 members. It's really cool how the software aspect of automation, I could be wrong about this, but I feel like that's really caught up to the robotics end of things. Am I wrong about that?
No, not at all. And I think it's catching up. And of course, the mechanical systems in which the things that they do are always going to be a huge part. But the software is where, let's say software and data together, we should probably combine those, is what's going to drive the ability to implement systems at a much faster rate. So there's no doubt it's catching up, and let's hope it goes even faster.
That's right. Well, the future is bright. Milton, thank you so much for being here today.
Dana, thanks for inviting me.